Question 13 is to describe the graphs of sine, cosine, and tangent function. Here we have real life situation problems. Let's look at this problem. You can see the figure is already given. Maribel sets up an experiment with a spring at a physics lab. She hangs the spring from a hook and attaches a weight to the bottom of the spring. She records the length of the spring when it's fully compressed. You can see it's 3 centimeters. And when it's fully extended, that's 12 centimeters. As shown, when she releases the spring from fully compressed position, she finds it takes 2 seconds to come back to this position. So what happens is, when you release it, it'll go up, extend fully, and comes back to the original position, right? This takes 2 seconds. That means that's the period of the function. Period is the time taken for the function to come back to its original position. And Maribel wants to write the function of t with respect to time. That's why that models the length of the spring in centimeters t seconds after it has been released. Then we need to find the amplitude, the period, and graph the function. So here, first of all, we have some data over here. We need to write the function, right? F of t, sorry, because it's with respect to time. We know f of x in general for sine and cos is a sine bx plus k. This is the midline wherever you graph it, or a cosine bx plus k. Now, this is with respect to x. Since we are doing with respect to t here, that x will be t. That's the only difference. But which function do we use? Here, generally, because the compression is happening, there's something already happened, we will take cosine function because it starts from up. Generally, in real world situations, when something has already happened, we take cosine. And the amplitude, what happens? Is it A will be positive or negative? Here if you see, the compression is there, so we generally consider it to be negative. And one more thing, you can see it's from up to down. Okay, you can consider the graph will be little different. It won't, the cosine graph won't start like this, it will go opposite direction. So we have to change the opposite sign for the amplitude. That means minus A. These are few things from this question we have. Now let's start solving. First one, amplitude. What is it? Now the total is over here 12. Subtract that 3. So it will be minus 3. And that is the total length of the graph, right? It will be so much. Now amplitude is half of it. Half would mean divided by 2. So it will be 4.5 here. It will be 12 minus 3 is 9 by 2, 4.5. What is the period? Period over here was given already. How much time does it take to come back to its original position? 2 seconds. So period is 2 seconds. Now let's do the graph for this function. Let's first write the equation of the graph. I'll write it over here. F of t, because they have clearly mentioned with respect to time, will be a cosine bx plus k. K is the midline. Now midline is also simple. K is equal to, you can just add the amplitude with whatever step is there. See now over here, this is already there. That's the extra height. So you need to add that, because when we graph it, graph will have a jump of 3 centimeter and then the amplitude, right? See, the jump is already given as 3. Or if they tell it's above certain height, that is the added part. And then we add the amplitude, because the graph's amplitude is half of the total graph, right? So it will be somewhere over here, the midline. So the midline would be k equals amplitude we got as 4.5, because it is 9 by 2 plus 3, k is 7.5. Midline is done. We have a value, we have the period, but what about the b? That's the only unknown value. The b can be easily solved. Period, I'll write p is equal to, what's the formula for period? If you remember, it's 2 pi by b, right? We need to solve for b. So take b to the other side, will be 2 pi by. B is the period of 2 seconds. So it cancels. B is equal to pi. Now we know b, we know k. I'll just write a again. A was 12 minus 3 by 2. A is equal to 4.5. But here, since it's from up to down, we will take it as minus. A is equal to minus 4.5. Remember that? This is it. So we found all these. Now just put it back in the equation. Function f of t will be equal to minus 4.5 cosine pi x plus 7.5. This is your function f of t. This is it. If this is one of the option, you can just do few of these and figure out which is the correct answer. But if they ask you about graph, how do you graph it? Now, I would personally suggest you do the table method. Now, here when you use the table method, you need to be careful with the period. So, sometimes students get confused. Okay, they write it as pi or something and then it will be a problem. I will tell you exactly how to do it. You need to press mode 7. Let's write this function. Over here, one important note: don't change this to radian. Okay, even when it's a radian function, you have a period of 2 pi. I personally keep it in degrees. I convert 2 pi to degrees and then I put it. Okay, it is much easier in terms of degrees rather than radians because you might get confused with radians. So I will just use this as it is cos. Now don't put pi. Pi is basically 180 degrees. So I'll write 180 into alpha x. I don't need to write that multiplication. It's understood it's multiplying. Plus 7.5. Once you have typed the equation properly, press equal to. You may not get this option, but if you get it, just ignore this and press equal. If you have the latest model of the calculator, you might get that. Now here, starting and stopping. Let me just draw a simple coordinate scale. We have to start at 0, but where do we end? How do we understand which is the ending point? You need to know what is the period. How much is the period? It's 2 seconds. Now please don't write in terms of pi. It is in terms of 2, 3, 4 seconds. So 2. Over here I will get a complete understanding of how the graph works. If you want, you can take until 4 maximum. Don't take very big numbers. Don't take 5 or 10. You won't get the answers. The table won't be generated. Here I would just go with 1, 0, 2, 3 maximum. 4 is more than enough. Now I will just type start at 0 and till 4 let me know what is happening. 4. And then what is the step? Step I'll give 0.5, so I'll have at least few points. See, within a period, at least 4 points are required. So I have 0 to 2, so if I take 0.5 here, I will have 4 points for one period. So now at 0, what is the point? It's 3. Now I won't graph it, it will be inaccurate. Let's just see the graph, the real graph. You can see over here the answers are given. This is how we solve it up. We did the same thing, amplitude, seconds, and here's the graph. Now let's compare the answers. At 0, it's at 3, yes. At 0.5, what is the value? It's 7.5, yes, around that. And then at 1, what is the value? 12, yes, maximum. Then at 1.5, what's happening? It's again 7.5, and at 2, it's 3, that's the lowest point. And then you can see again at 2.5, it goes like this and keeps on repeating. But if you understand one period, it's more than enough. We have done for 2 complete revolutions, that's enough. So this is the graph, this is how we graph it. Now, if at all you have been given 4 graphs, then I have told you a method earlier. Just type the equation and then solve it up. You can easily get it. But here, if you have to do the equation and then graph it, you need to do the methods which we just now did. The writing method, all this is important. And then you need to graph it up. Okay. I guess this is also similar like to the previous one. Let's do this one as well. An amusement park ride consists of 16 foot arms. You can see there are 16 foot in height that each have a car on one end of the arm and a counterweight on the other end. Okay. The arms rotate in opposite directions. Each car has a minimum height of 3 feet above the ground. Okay, this is for the midline, that 3 feet above the ground. When we do the k value, right, we need to add a plus 3 over here. That's what it tells. It takes each car 3 seconds to make a complete rotation. This is the period is 3 seconds. The function f of x models the height of one car above the ground x seconds after it rides. Assume the cars make complete rotations as soon as the ride begins. Okay, that means it has already started. So we can take it as a cosine function here. Now, from so much information, we will start doing the problem. Now, what about the amplitude? We know the total height is how much? 16 over here. This much will be the total. Half of that would be, half of that will be 8. Amplitude is 16 divided by 2, that is 8. And what next do we need? We will just write the function. F of, over here they have told x itself is equal to a cosine function bx plus k. K is done, a is done. What is b? Use the period. Period is equal to 2 pi by b. So we need b value. So it is 2 pi by p, that is 3 seconds. It's 2 pi by 3. So I will write everything in this function. F of x equals. Now here, the thing is, the car just starts. Now it will be from down to up the function, the graph, because it starts from the lowest point and then it goes up, okay, when we graph. So remember, the amplitude will be minus, okay, whatever a value we get will be minus 8. Cos function b is 2 pi by 3 and x plus k is, the amplitude was 8, 8 plus 3, that is 11. So this is the function. Now this is supposed to be a writing question, and if you write so much, it's enough, to be very honest. So now let's look into the graph. I will use the table method itself. So let's just see the answers over here. Amplitude is 8, b value is 2 pi by 3, and what do we have? The graph. Now the function what we got is minus 8 cosine 2 pi by 3 x plus 11. Now let's use the table. I've just typed this equation. Now here, instead of 2 pi by 3, I've written 2 times 180 by 3 alpha x. Please remember, don't put pi, put it in terms of degrees. Now when you press equal to, ignore if you get any extra equation. We are doing only for one equation. Now what about start? Let's start at 0. We know what's the period, right? The period is 3. So I will take 2 periods. I will take until 6. Starting at 0, I did 0 and ending at 6. And what is the step? From 0 to 3, I need to have at least 4 points, okay? So what I'll do is, 3 divided by 4 is 3 fourths, 0.75. I'll take the step as 0.75. I will tell you the method how exactly to get the step. See what's the period. It's 3 just divided by 4, because I'll have 4 points. So I'll have 1, then I will have 2, this is the initial, 3, 4, and then will be the period itself. So that's how I'll get these points, okay? I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, then again it repeats 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll have a better understanding of the graph. And let me press equal to, you can see from at 0 it was how much? 3, yes. And what about 0.75? Somewhere over here it's at 11, yes. And then at 1.5 it's maximum 19, correct? And then we have again 11 and it keeps on repeating. So this is how we can easily check the graph. And if you want to plot, you can easily plot the graph like this. And then we have a few more questions. Let's read this. What is the first interval of your graph in which the function is increasing? Now, where is the function increasing? It starts from here till over here. Then it starts decreasing. So the interval is about 1.5, half of 3, 1.5. So x is from 0 to 1.5, that's increasing, only the first interval they have asked. X is greater than or equal to 0 and x is less than or equal to 1.5. Or you can also write it like this. So 0, 1.5 in terms of close bracket. Okay. And it's better to write this format because generally the options will be like this. The third question is to explain how your graph shows the period of the ride. Period over here is 3, and basically the distance between two maximums or two minimums can be an easy point to find the period rather than the starting point. If it's in the middle, it's very hard, right? You can see what is the maximum at 1.5. From here 3 more, you'll get one more maximum, or minimum is the same thing. So that's how you do this problem. And here we have write a sine function in which the amplitude is 2 and its graph has 3 complete cycles on the interval 0 to pi and justify our answer. So let's do the same thing. Sine function, so we know f of x will be a sine bx plus k. But over here, they have not mentioned any height or anything, starting point. So let's just keep it this much. Amplitude is 2, has 3 complete cycles in the interval 0 to pi. 0 to pi, in this, within 0 to pi, you can draw 3, okay, rotations, like complete cycles. Now that is a very bad drawing, but how do you understand is you don't need to draw that. We can understand the period is pi divided by 3 because pi is the total length. In that, there are 3 complete cycles happening. So it's pi by 3. Now here then sine, okay, we know the period. What about the b? B is equal to 2 pi by period. So 2 pi by 3. So this cancels. And what about this? This will go up. It will be 6. 2 times 3, right? Or we just put in the calculator, you'll get the answer 6. So it's 6x. And yeah, that's the answer. Now, if you want to justify your answer, the thing is from 0 to pi there is 3 complete cycles. Therefore, the period will be pi divided by 3. And from the period we can find the b value and then just write it out. Okay, this is the answer. Okay, now here they have written in theta. I forgot. Whatever is correct, 2 sine 6 is correct. But since they have clearly mentioned it's in theta, so we write 6 theta. That's the only thing. I've not written in detail, I've just done directly. It's very simple. Once you understand the basics, you can easily solve it up. Now, amplitude over here was given already. So that. Now, this problem, it's similar to the previous one, but little different. So I'll do this as well. The function h of x is given over here, 6 sine 30 pi x plus 10. Models the height above the ground in inches of a point P at the tip of a blade of a floor fan x seconds. After the fan is turned on, what is the speed of the fan in rotations per minute? Now they have clearly told here x is in terms of seconds. So about rotation we need to find. If you find the period, we'll come to know how many times it's rotating, right? Most of us will think that's the answer. We need to find how many times it's rotating. So just find the period. But no, it's not that. Here, whatever answer you get is in seconds. We need to convert that to minutes. So now let's do this. Yeah, I won't go in detail. I'll just just go to the point. What you need to solve is the period. B value is given. It's 2 pi by B. B is 30 pi. So here this cancels. What is the answer? 1 by 15. Now this is in terms of seconds. 1 by 15. What this means is in 1 second there are 15 complete cycles happening. So 15 times the fan is turning. But this is in 1 second it is 15 times. But we need 1 minute. So how many minutes, how many seconds are there in a minute? It's 60 seconds. How many times? X. So just take it to the other side, cross multiply here. That is 50 times 60. Just solve this up, you'll get the answer. 15 times 6 is 90, 900 times. So 900 cycles occur in basically 1 minute. So that's the answer over here. 900 rotations per minute, RPM. And compare and contrast the graphs of y is equal to half sine theta and y is equal to sine half theta. Now here, it's just that the amplitudes are different and the periods are different. I don't know what exactly they want. Yeah, amplitude and period, that's all you need to solve for. What is the amplitude here? Half. Period is 2 pi by b is 1. So it's 360 degree means it's 2 pi. So it's 360 degree period here. What about here? Here it is half, b is half. So it will be 360 by half. It will be 720 degrees. Amplitude is 1. That's the difference over here. Basic things. And write the trigonometric function that has an amplitude of 3 and a period of 180 degrees. Then graph the function. Very simple again. You have the a value Period is given. B value will be 2 pi by B. So we will have 2 pi by 180. That is, now 180 is basically what pi, right? So I will write it as 2 pi by pi itself. This cancels 2. B value is just 2. Or you can just write it as this one. It had to be 360. Okay. That's 2 pi means 361 one time. Sorry, one time, two times. So 2 is the answer. Once you have the amplitude and b value, it's very simple. We can write a function f of x is equal to, I'll take sine function. They didn't mention any function. A sine bx. Don't need of any midline because they have not mentioned it's shifted or anything. So it is 3 sine. This is whatever the value is given, we take the modulus. So it will be positive 3 sine. What is b value? It's 2. And over here, we write it in terms of x or theta. It's fine. This is the function. Now, if you want to graph, just put this in the calculator and graph it. We have done it before. I'll just do it again. Just type out the equation over here, sine 3 sine 2x, and then where do you want to start? We will start it at 0. We will end it at 360, because over here, what is the period? It's 180 degrees, right? Now what is the step? 180 divided by 4, that will be 45 degrees, and this is it. So let's compare the graph here. It starts with 0 at 45 degrees. It's at 3 somewhere, yes, and then at 90 degrees over here, yes, it's 345 degrees. 90 degree again 0. You can see at 135 it's minus 3. 180 is 0. 225 it's 3, and it continues. Okay, I've done till 360, but you can stop. Any one cycle, one period is enough. You can see the methods used over here are complicated. Don't go to do these methods, okay? Even for writing exam, if this wasn't writing, you don't need to do all this. There are other simple methods, Let's just use the simpler methods. The equation is correct, and this is to find the intercepts. You do not need it. You can directly graph it and get the answers. Here, this is the last question in this topic. How can you use characteristics of trigonometric functions to sketch its graph? This is again just a word problem. You need to first determine the amplitude. What we did, first a value, then we did the period, and then intercepts. You can do a table and do it, but they have generally told you can graph by its intercepts, and then you sketch. So these are the characteristics used. Always remember the a value, amplitude is required. Then we should know the period. Once we know the period, we can find the b value. Then f of x is, say it will be a cos or sine, it depends, bx. So we just put it. If it was sine also, that is the thing. So these two are required. How do we find b? From the period. Therefore, amplitude period. And then you can also tell from a table, you can easily sketch the graph. So that's how we can solve these problems. I hope you have found this helpful. Please do share my videos with your friends, and please do subscribe to my channel. It would mean so much to me. I will see you all in the next video.